Welcome to the SCIF. This is the Green Beret Life. I am Matt. That is Stu. We are a 501c3 called the Green Beret Life, and the life stands for, I don't know if we say it at the end of every show, but the life stands for live in freedom every day. That's what the life stands for. I don't know how many of our current listeners know we were originally called Panergic Life, but nobody knew what the hell Panergic was, and they had a hard time saying it.
I still do.
Yeah, panoplegic, panoplogic. Basically, what panergic meant, skilled in many
Pilates.
things and always ready. That's basically what it was. Prepared and ready, skilled at multiple tasks and ready, panergic, right? So, we got a show for you tonight. I think it's a pretty good show. Let me get back a little bit. Let me get back and talk about the foundation a little bit. Because we really don't talk about the foundation here much anymore. When we started out, there was a group of us. It was a consortium. We had several military guys, a couple Green Berets, and we had a therapist. Now it's Stu and myself, right? That's what it is. And what we used to do when we started the foundation was the whole idea behind it was to serve underserved military and first responder children. And basically what we did is we went and taught classes to try to generate money in order to get these children out into nature. We would do expeditions and things like that. We would do like little mini survival courses. We did a bunch of different things. We also did a military prep course. That's how it all started out. And one of the things that I don't know, I think military dudes in general are not good at going and asking and begging for money, right? And that's sort of why it changed. So now we no longer, Chris really isn't involved anymore. As many of you guys may have remembered Chris. We had some other guys from fifth group that were involved that aren't involved anymore. Our therapist, Jamie's not involved anymore. It's pretty much Stu and myself. And what it is sort of morphed into is I do firearms training to generate money in order to do firearms training for veterans and first responders and their families for free. So if they want to get their CCW, if they just want to get a pistol class, if they want to get a shotgun class or whatever, we would go out and do training. And if we generated money, it would go to the foundation. And if a veteran wanted to do it, it was free for the veteran or the veteran's family. So that's where it evolved to. Now we're thinking about possibly making some changes here in the future, going back to the original mission that the foundation had. This show right here was always sort of a supplement to whatever the foundation was. Now, we always used this as a mouthpiece to talk about current events, politics, the same stuff we do now. And when we started out, we were growing pretty rapidly on YouTube because that's all we were on. And next thing you know, the election happened and we started getting strikes on almost everything we did.
Looks like Matt's fading out some.
Oh, am I fading in and out?
Yeah, I don't know, Matt's maybe have. Yeah, your signal went out for a second. I think you might be back.
Okay. So I have good coverage here. I don't know why, but so YouTube was hitting us for everything, and they weren't just hitting us, for our current shows. They were digging into our past shows, and we kept on getting strike. We had a crew that followed us pretty much weekly, and it was growing. And then all of a sudden, people are saying they were unsubscribed. They couldn't find the channel. Just a bunch of stuff that was just making life difficult. And that's how we sort of branched out into Rumble and Odysee. And obviously, when I'm up here in Wisconsin, I have very limited coverage because I'm in the woods, way north of town here. And so I'm stuck here in downtown Grantsburg in a car. I happen to be in a rental car right now because my truck has been at the dealership for, I don't know, 2 months now, Stu? It seems like it,
Yeah, it's definitely been there a minute.
Yeah. We're looking at possibly getting back into what we used to do. If you go on to our YouTube channel, you can see one of the expeditions that we did. It was sort of documented by video, and it shows what we did. And we're possibly looking at doing something like that again. So obviously we have to become a little more professional. The the uh, the the SCIF will be the same. Uh, so um,
Yeah, can you hear me at all? And I coming in because you're breaking
I
up
can hear
on
you.
my end pretty bad. I'm
I
not
can
sure
hear
how
you.
the
I
the
can hear you perfect, and I don't know
the
why I'm
guys are
breaking
hearing.
up. I'm right outside the
Hey,
antenna. I'm looking. Can you hear me now,
okay.
Stu?
Troy
Can you
said
hear
he can
me?
hear you fine, so it might just be my end. I'm not sure. But Freedom's asking if you have anything set up right now for people to donate directly.
Uh,
Um,
we did. I took it
do you
down.
have anything like that set up at the
I had a
moment?
re- I had a really good website, Freedom, that was set up by our therapist, Jamie, and that website was costing me $1,000 a year, roughly, not just under $1,000 a year. But I can't imagine, something that you put together, just to have it in the internet would cost that much. We're working on a new website. Right now, we don't have any place for donations. Um, but we will soon, because we're going to have a new website put together and put up. And once we figure out exactly what we're doing, because it's kind of like, what do we do with this foundation? So the firearm stuff is great, but there should be something a little more to it than just the firearm stuff. I'm going to continue with the firearm stuff, and the SCIF, we're hoping we can grow this. Now, obviously, it's hard while I'm sitting here in a car underneath an antenna with shoddy with shoddy reception, right? But uh, Stu has been a lifesaver for this whole deal, because Stu handles a lot of the technical stuff that I'm just not any good with, and I'm not prepared right up here to do it with, because I just don't have the bandwidth here. But so we kind of do this show the best we can, and we live with it. I mean, what are we going to sit and piss and moan because I'm broadcasting from a car? I don't think it takes away from the content of the show, and I love
It adds character, Matt. That's what
it
it
does.
does.
It does add character, and we have a great crew that is here every week. That
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
educated as hell, and they teach us things. We say this all the time, and so we may be doing some things here in the future. Maybe bringing some guests on. We've done that in the past. We had Michelle Black on, who her husband lost his life as an SF guy, a third group guy, down in Africa. If you remember that ambush from a few years ago, she wrote a book, uh, and we had her on, called Sacrifice. We also had the guy who founded the Soft Network. We had him on. He's uh, he's a guy who put together a group of therapists across the country that are trying to take the stigma out of. He used to be attached to special operations in a capacity, but he's trying to take the stigma out of mental health for uh, military special operations guys, right? We know there's an issue. There's something going on in the military. We're losing. How many veterans are we losing a day, Stu, to suicide?
Ew, wow. I'm trying to remember. I was as soon as
It's
you
a
said that, I was
lot.
trying to remember the number. It's substantial.
Yeah, it's too many. There's something going on within the veteran community that is causing this. Now, we can always throw out a bunch of guesses. We don't know for sure. We don't know for
Right.
sure. But
It's the number that's cited is 22 a day.
yeah, okay. So 22 a day. I mean, it's almost hard to believe, and suicide is one of these things. I had a teammate that committed suicide, and this was one of the most happy-go-lucky, capable, liked fun guys that you could ever imagine, and a guy you definitely wanted on your team. He was an ass kicker, right? And it surprised everybody, just everybody. Nobody saw it coming. And then there were some other guys in my company that did. One you kind of could see coming, just because of the way he was treated by the military after something happened with a family member of his who was
Mm.
injured, right? They didn't treat him well. I can tell you that. Big Army is faceless. This zero tolerance bullshit, right? That's so people don't have to make decisions. I know we're getting off on a tangent here, but I'm trying to give you guys some background about the Green Beret life, right? And so suicide is hard to explain because it's not one of these things that, oh, we definitely saw it coming. No, oftentimes it hits some of the most well-liked and from the outside appearance, happy people that you could imagine,
Well, some people
well-adjusted.
are really well at putting that facade and that best face forward in public,
Mhm.
and then behind closed doors, it's a train wreck, and nobody knows it because they keep it hidden so well.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that we don't really know, but uh, we can only do what we know does help to a certain extent is open up channels of communication. Try to have fun events where fellow veterans can get together, and even with the public in general, for with other patriots, right? Just so people don't have to feel like they're pigeonholed and they're alone, and if they have an issue, may be more apt to talk to somebody, whether it's a therapist or just a buddy that they met that has had some same shared experiences, right? So
Yeah.
this is really at the core of all this, and often the forgotten people in all this were kids of veterans. Growing up in a military family, um, it's not easy. You're moving all the time. You're especially in the last 20 years during the war on terror, right? You had parents leaving for long periods of time, up to a year and sometimes more at a time, and not knowing if they're coming back, if they're not coming back, knowing friends of your parents that aren't coming back or coming back injured, right? That is very, very stressful, and one of the underserved that's really not even looked into too much communities are the children of veterans that had to live through this over the last 20 years. So it just doesn't affect the veteran, just doesn't affect the veteran's spouse, it affects the veteran's kids
Yeah.
in a huge way. So that's really what the thinking behind the foundation was. That's what the thinking was, and to where it evolved today, just because we had some roadblocks and didn't quite get the traction that we thought we were going to get because we thought it was such a good idea, you know. So there might be something new coming back. We're kicking some ideas around. Stu and I are going to talk about some things, and there might be more to this, and we're going to let you guys know every step of the way what we're doing. We want to take input from you guys, right? Because we speak every week. We've come to know you guys, even though
We
it's
have we have the brain trust over here, our
yeah.
think tank.
Yeah, even though it's screen names and whatnot, we've come to know you guys every week, and we trust, and value your input on things. So feel free. We're always open. We definitely don't think that we know more than anybody else. We're out here struggling along with everybody else trying to figure shit out, right? So if you have an idea or a suggestion or anything, we're always open to it. Okay. With that being said, Stu, what do we have on the docket tonight for the show?
Well, I've got one more thing I want to bring up.
Okay.
Troy had reached out. He says that he's in central Wisconsin and would love to do a class with you. So I
Oh,
told
wow.
him to hit up the email address. So be on the lookout. Be on top of the email to see when he's able to put something in and do something. He may know a group of people that can
I
get
had no
together and
idea
do
Troy
something.
was in central Wisconsin. I had no
I
idea.
I don't know why I thought he was somewhere else. I'm sure he said Wisconsin at one time before, but for some reason I had somewhere else. I don't even know where. I just had somewhere else in mind, not Wisconsin.
Yeah, Troy, I'm up here in Grantsburg. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's sort of on the border between Minnesota and Wisconsin, and right on the Wisconsin side. And I would say, the closest, we're about an hour and a half southeast, about an hour southeast of Hayward. So, and I'm about 2 hours from Wausau. So I'm north of Wausau, northwest here, and we're southwest of Hayward. So Hayward is northeast of me.
But
So
I dropped the email address in the chat, and I've got it up on the screen here for a little bit. So if anybody wants to pop in.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And reach out, because for sure. And if you ever, boy, we ought to hold some sort of event or something at some stage. I know we did it.
Maybe, like I said, Troy said he's 30 miles west of Wausau.
Oh, really?
You guys are neighbors.
You're not far. You are not far.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're a hell of a lot closer than I thought you. Well, I didn't know you were in Wisconsin. So small world. Well, Troy, we're definitely going to have to get together and do something. So whether that be go and shoot or whatever, we'll get together and do something for sure.
Now, one thing Matt hates doing more than anything else is fishing. So whatever you do, don't talk to him about fishing or going fishing or anywhere to fish. He'll just, he can't stand it.
Yeah, I can't stand fishing. I can't stand shooting. Yeah, those things I really have a hard time dealing with. So, yeah, tongue in cheek. So,
all right. So, what do you want to start out with, Matt? We've got a couple of things here. We've got Israel doing strikes in Qatar on Hamas, which it makes a difficult situation. Not sure better, worse. I don't know. That's a touchy one all the way around.
It puts the United States in a bad position. I can tell you that for sure.
It definitely does, and because Qatar was one of the ones working to help bring a stop to everything, bring things to a conclusion. I'm not saying it didn't need to happen. It sucks that that's where it was, because it really, like you said, it puts the U.S. in a bad position. It makes it very difficult for Qatar to maintain what they're trying to do, like the Abraham Accords.
It's one of these things. They're not innocent. They know that they were housing the leadership of Hamas. They knew they were, right.
And that's part of it too. I think, and it might not have been the entirety of the government. It may have been, this little aspect of it over here, but they're not. Yeah, they're not innocent in all of it either, I don't think.
Yeah, but when we're trying to bring people together through the Abraham Accords and we're making progress, the last thing we need is Israel bombing a sovereign country that is technically an ally of the United States. That is no good. And
that's like Osama bin Laden being right across the border in Pakistan by their military, their equivalent of West Point, and he's just down the street in his compound chilling, and nobody quote unquote knew it.
Like we didn't know, right? Okay,
wait, what?
We've talked about that ad nauseum. I don't think we need to revisit that, but I was about to get sidetracked. But what else do we got?
We've got that. We've got the Democrats are rounding up the usual suspects to launch a new January 6th subcommittee. For what reason, I'm not sure. It's not like Trump can run for re-election. It's not like Vance was in the administration when January 6th took place, but they have nothing else. So they've got to go.
They don't even have that. It's all made up. What should be investigated is the previous January 6th committee. It was a criminal enterprise, as far as I'm concerned.
The ones that destroyed evidence and that sort of thing. Yeah, those.
Yeah, the Democrats have no power. They're grasping at straws. Everything they do is based on destruction and lies and everything else. And they've got a willing accomplice in the media. Um, but what's next? Are we going to talk about that girl in Charlotte?
Yeah, I'll say that's one of the big stories, and it happened over the weekend, and it didn't get much traction until yesterday, and then all anybody can talk about
Stu, I think
is
it happened. It happened over the weekend a week or two ago, didn't it?
yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. This was last
Yeah.
month. This was a couple of weeks old, or a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago that this happened, and you're right. It just started getting the traction this weekend in the past couple of days. But you look at some of the liberal media, and all they're concerned about is how the right is using this as a talking point or using this for political purposes, and it's like they're completely missing the plot on why everyone is upset. And it's the fact that, just like whenever you have illegal immigrants in this country committing crimes, this guy had 14 prior arrests. The last arrest, he was let out on cashless bail. He should not have been there. That's the point. The same with some of these illegal immigrants that are, and we've got one of those tonight as well, should not be here. If the law was enforced, this lady would still be alive. She would still be going about her life. But because we're soft on crime, we're supposed to feel sorry for these people, that it's not their fault that they've been arrested 14 times for violent, activities. This lady's now dead. But it's not his fault.
Yeah, there's a give, send, go. I think it's been taken down since.
It has.
The audacity of that is just unbelievable.
But the Charlotte mayor's talking about how he needs to be treated with compassion.
Yeah,
it's like these people are lunatics. These people
are freaking mind.
They're the definition. They're just break out Webster's dictionary, look up lunacy, and these people are right there. It's just total disregard of reality and being able to read the room in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, again, I do the same thing. I can't find the words for it sometimes, because you and I guess, are two things: logical and honest. So the way they come out with things, it just doesn't make sense to us how they can do that until you figure out, one, they're dishonest, and two, they're illogical. Then it all makes sense. If you don't have to be logically consistent in your arguments and you're a liar, you can say anything. You don't have to be true to yourself. You just go for it.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Full send, and tomorrow's a new day, and it's like the Etch-a-Sketch. Just shake it up and start over again.
Yeah, that whole thing. There was I don't know if you have this as part of your story, but they released more video today. Did you see that?
I saw. I don't have any of the video just because I didn't want to get into any issues with playing it. I mean, it's out there, and it's as horrible as it sounds.
He's walking up and down saying, "I got that white girl. I got that white," blood all over the place. On his shoes and everything else. And everybody sees this monster. She's looking at her phone as she sits down in the seat in front of him, and he jumps up with a knife and just stabs her in the neck.
Yeah, he literally just stands up and just swings. It is.
Yeah, and I mean, and nobody's saying this is a hate crime. That's what it is. I got the white girl. I got that white girl. I got that white girl. And this dude should have never been. It just shows these cities. North Carolina has two real trouble spots. Okay, three. I'm going to say three real trouble spots. Okay, Raleigh, primarily because of Research Triangle Park, right?
Yep, Raleigh, Durham.
Charlotte, right? And Asheville. Asheville is a beautiful area. It is a freaking disaster with the political base that's out there. It is an absolute disaster. And North Carolina is one of these states that you would think is solid pro-America, America First and this and that. Well, those three population centers are are what sort of brings North Carolina to that sort of purplish color, right?
Yeah.
And
Georgia's the same way.
yeah, same way, same way.
It's and it's just it becomes a matter of population density. You know, Georgia, where I am, is a very rural area, and you've got much fewer people per square mile than you do in the liberal areas of
Enclaves,
Atlanta,
yeah,
Athens, Savannah. You know, those
yeah,
areas which are much more dense, and they're the larger cities where the liberals tend to congregate.
yeah. And it's one of these things because boy, Charlotte is a disaster, and people are starting to see that now because everybody thought, oh, Charlotte's a nice town. It's one of the
Yeah,
banking capitals of the country, right?
yeah.
And
It's a beautiful area, beautiful
yeah,
town.
it
Or it
absolutely
was. I
is.
haven't been there in 15 years.
Yeah, but it has been run by radical leftists for quite a while now. And it is extremely liberal there. It is extremely liberal. And for some reason, I don't know why this always happens. Beautiful areas always get taken over by the liberals because Asheville is beautiful. Asheville is
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Well,
And
Asheville's a college town as well, isn't it?
uh what yeah, I wouldn't say it's a college town. Um, it's more of like just a hippie enclave now, because it's nature and everything else out there. So
Yeah.
what university is in Asheville?
Well, that's what I was looking. It has a school there. Oh, it's UNC Asheville, liberal arts and sciences in a dynamically shifting, radically evolving world.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
got a liberal arts college
yeah.
there.
I don't think it's a huge school though. So yeah, it's not like University of Wisconsin Madison. You know what I mean?
No,
Which
no,
takes up the whole city.
no, it's
But
not.
there's something with beautiful areas like that the left just seems to want to infect. That's why you're seeing like Vermont and New Hampshire, go to the left over the
Yeah.
last 30 years or so because they're transplants from New York and Boston and all of the liberal enclaves on the East Coast, are moving out into the beautiful nature, and then they bring their shit politics with them. So
Well, what happens like with Colorado and everything else, they leave California because it's become so oppressive. So they
yeah.
move to Colorado and
Washington,
other and
Oregon,
Washington,
yeah,
and they
and then
started,
you flood illegals in on top of that because that's
yeah,
really what flipped
and so then
Colorado.
they just started infecting it with the same, you know, same things they were voting for in California, and
Hmm.
Vermont and all those have done the same thing with people moving out of New York and Massachusetts and everything like that. They're the same things happening. They're fleeing
Yeah,
what they created and then creating it again.
yeah, yeah. New
Right.
New Hampshire, live free or die, right?
Yeah.
So, right now it's flooded full of leftists. So,
But
anyways,
one of the other stories we have is the SCOTUS did make a ruling allowing Trump to continue the ICE operations.
hmm
Um, and it's funny, we've got the dissent from the wise Latina Sotomayor, and yeah, still can't convince me as to how she got her position on the Supreme Court, other than
well, I would say she belongs there way more than that Cantangi Brown, Jackson Brown, or whatever her name is. Now
Jumanji
they're
Brown
calling her.
Jackson.
Yeah, they're calling her Justice Autopen. That's what her nickname is.
Oh,
Because
really?
oh yeah. Oh
Her
yeah.
staff does everything.
Yep, they're looking into that whole every this whole Autopen, we've said this before, we haven't heard the end of it. Right? We have not heard the end of this. And now there's an email out there floating around of staffers basically saying this was during the pardons, basically saying that it's all being signed by AutoPen. He really doesn't know what the hell he's signing, right? He's not doing
Yeah.
it, right? So this the smoking gun is out there, and we're not done listening to that. So, which one do you want to start with, Stu?
Let's start with the Israel story, I guess. We'll start with
Okay.
that one.
Okay. Well,
So go ahead.
well, and basically, it's not been a secret. A lot of the banking and a lot of the leadership from, and apparently these guys are billionaires. There was three of them. I don't know how many there are left now, but they ran Hamas and they lived in Gaza. I mean, not in Gaza, in Qatar or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it, right? And we know that there's a real issue in the Gaza Strip that I think the American people are divided over, with what Israel's doing down there. Now, if you know the area and you know the history and you know what's going on there, if you know the money that's been dumped in there to no avail, if you know, uh, that's a disaster. Hamas is the political affiliation that runs the Gaza Strip, right? And whether the people voted for it or they were coerced to voting for it or not, okay, it's an unmitigated disaster because they've got a beautiful strip of land and they have done nothing with it. And when water pipes get put in, they break them up in order to create rocket launchers and shit like that. They dig it all up.
Yeah.
So money that comes in from the United States, from Europe, and all of this is pretty much there to feed the military wing of Hamas. So this act of terrorism that was perpetrated on October 7th of a couple years ago, okay, that did unimaginable, unspeakable things to innocent people in Israel, right? Kicked this all off. And they still have the hostages. They haven't released. I'm going to say the majority of these hostages are dead. They were
Yeah.
mistreated. Yeah. And they haven't been released. Now, Israel has gone into Gaza, as we all know, and have made great strides. But there's been international pressure to back off when they're getting close to basically dealing with it. Back off, back off, back off. And that allows Hamas to reconstitute themselves, get away, reconstitute themselves, stuff in some more money. We ship aid over there. They intercept the aid. They take the aid that was supposed to be going to the starving kids of Gaza that everybody's concerned about, and rightly so. There are victims. Okay, there are victims in Gaza. But you're never going to fix Gaza and you're never going to help those victims until you get rid of Hamas. Now,
Yeah.
the problem with what happened today or yesterday, right, is we're trying to basically convince the Middle East that all of this bullshit and this infighting over different sects of different religions and everything else all over the years is so counterproductive and stupid, where they could all be making money. That's what Trump does. He goes in and says, this is stupid. If you just get your shit together, you guys could rake in the dough. You've got a beautiful part of this earth, right? Here, that could be a tourist destination. Look at what they've done over in UAE, right?
Yeah.
Look at what they've done in some of these. Look at what they've done in Egypt. Look at what they've done in some of these other countries, right? You can do that here. And so they all have a common enemy over there, and that enemy is Iran, right? So that sort of unifies some of these differences they're willing to look the other way on because they know they have a bigger enemy, which is Iran, which is also our enemy, right?
Yep.
So within all of this, Trump has been pushing these Abraham Accords, trying to unify basically the Sunni side of the Middle East, and have some sort of working relationship with Israel, right? So when you've made all this progress in the Abraham Accords, and then Israel goes and they bomb a section of Qatar, this is a freaking issue. And it puts the United States right in the middle of that issue. So I think what explains this better than anything, Stu's going to have to read it because I can't. It's too my phone is too damn small. So Trump released a truth today that I think sort of encapsulates the whole scenario we're in with this mess. So without further ado,
Yeah,
Stu.
because Trump says, and basically what Trump has is summing up what Matt was saying is that, Qatar is an ally. They've been helping to work um, on a solution, on a resolution for this action in Gaza. This was a decision made by Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu and was not the U.S. He says unilaterally bombing inside of Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely, taking risks with us, which that's true. They're taking risk by standing against and
Mm-hmm.
kind of standing up to and not going along with what some of the more radical elements are wanting. They are putting themselves at risk. They're saying this does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. Says, I view Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the U.S. and feel very badly about the location of the attack. I want all hostages and bodies of the dead released and this war to end now. And then Matt and I were talking before the show, and this, what Trump's saying here is same thing Matt and I were saying is that this had to happen. This needed to happen. Hamas can't be allowed to just continue to fire rockets, indiscriminately into Israel. They have to be taken out, their leadership dismantled, and scattered to the four winds. But it really puts the United States in a bad situation politically to be trying to work with Qatar and say, hey, we need your help. We need you to do this. And then, an event like this takes place. It makes everything stickier. It makes everything, more difficult to move forward. But, it has to happen, but it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a point of contention going forward and trying to get things to happen next week, so to speak.
Well, were Qatari citizens killed? That's the question here too. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to that's one of the things I wanted to look at. I saw another story saying that it looks as though the high ranking members were not taken out. Some lower ranking members were. Hamas said in a statement its top leaders survived the strike. 5 lower level members were killed, including the son of one of their top negotiators and some bodyguards. I didn't see anywhere.
And remember, you're getting this from Hamas, so
right.
I take that.
Yeah, so with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything where they're saying civilians, which I would have assumed if they had the option, they would definitely be putting that word out on the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is one of these things that when I heard about it, I just cringed, and I'm like, oh shit, because how the hell are you going to be able to convince these nations, not just Qatar, but these other nations, if Israel's going to just frickin' lob missiles their way, you know what I mean?
Well, so, it might be a notice to don't harbor terrorists.
Yeah, that is. I wish they could have done it a different way. Like maybe,
beepers
sending in dudes that, started tailing these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, more of a special operations deal, but boy, it just, when you're trying to unfuck that place, for lack of a better term, right?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, this doesn't help. All the strides the Trump administration made, because no matter what, Israel's tied to the United States, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you even have people here saying, "Oh, Trump is, doing this, that, and the other thing just to appease the Israelis, which is complete bullshit, right? So, look, I don't want to be. I'm for Israel taking out Hamas. I'm for Israel taking out Hezbollah. I'm for Israel cleaning up their part of the world. You know, the reason, if you really want to know, the reason why we have this freaking mess is worldwide pressure to create an area for Palestinians, which, if you go back in history, they don't exist. They are nomadic Arabs. That's what they are, right? So this whole thing is a complete joke. So they were forced by the world, set aside this land, give this to them. We're going to get to a two-part, a two-state system. Da 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 da. It's all bullshit. This is the world meddling with shit that's not their freaking business, right?
Well, that's par for the course.
Yeah, it's not their freaking business. So, I truly feel bad for innocent victims everywhere, including in the Gaza Strip. But you can't have a terrorist organization as your government entity. And you can't allow them to keep screwing everything up in that. I mean, Gaza is a shithole, and it should be
Yeah.
it should be a paradise. So the Israelis, as far as I'm concerned, need to go in there. They need to take control of the Gaza Strip. They need to treat people humanely, right? But you got to get rid of terrorists. Those guys got it coming. They got it coming, you know. And it's much easier said than done. I just don't like the idea of our our country over there trying to fix things with Israel, doing something like this. And if we didn't take out these leaders, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
What
one of
the
those
fuck?
things where it on one hand it seems counterproductive, but on the other hand, you won't reach a resolution unless you do it. So it's almost a catch-22. You know,
I just happen to think there's a better way to do this. Now, that's just me saying this. I'm sure the Israelis have tried every way till Sunday. I'm sure they have, you know. But boy, you just hate to see this because it's going to make things harder to deal with Jordan. It's going to make things harder to deal with the Saudis. It's going to make things harder to deal with UAE. It's, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's insane, you know.
Well,
So
let's move over because we're already 42 minutes in and haven't haven't gotten through much.
mhm,
We had a long intro uh
yeah.
today. Um, but the other big story, I guess we'll we'll get to, and then we'll move through the others a little quicker. Is this deal in Charlotte, um, where this again this guy's been arrested 14 times in the past 10 years or something. I was
You have
trying
a
to see.
female Ukrainian immigrant who is here as kind of like a refuge from the war. Okay, she's working a minimum wage type job, right? She gets on the train. I don't know if she was coming home from work. Looks like she had a work uniform or something on. And she
Yeah.
sits down on the train. She's crosses her legs and she's looking at her phone like almost every one of us does, right? And we get a moment, right? That's what we do, right? She's looking at her
Yep.
phone. This piece of human trash that is behind her looks at her, stands up in his seat, pulls out a knife, and stabs this innocent woman. I don't know how many times he stabbed her, but in the neck, this demon stabs her in the neck multiple times. She grabs her neck. Everybody is standing around doing nothing. Nothing on that train. They stand and watched while she bled out and died. And then he goes walking around the train, trailing blood all over the place, talking about how he got that white girl. He got that white girl. He got that white girl. Right? That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he gets arrested, of course. Uh, And I hate this alleged bullshit too. You clearly
Yeah,
see
well,
what
I get
this son of a
it's
bitch did. Yeah,
it's the legal, to
yeah,
avoid, but yeah, it's it's on video. Maybe not 1080p, maybe
yeah.
720 or 480, but it's right there. It's clear cut.
So this poor girl, okay, doing nothing except sitting down on the train after work, gets murdered by this piece of shit who should have never been on the street. Should have never been on the, like Stu said, he was arrested 14 previous times. And you
Yeah,
have this destructive, I guarantee you there's George Soros money down there. If I was a betting man, I don't know that for sure, right? But if I was a betting man, there was. The mayor is a complete disgrace, right? And you have these liberal judges and a liberal judicial system that keeps letting these animals back out on the street to victimize innocent people, which is what they do. And this mayor, this dumbass mayor, how these people get elected is beyond me because this woman is a moron, right? Gets on there, she's praising mainstream media because mainstream media didn't want you to see this. It doesn't fit their narrative, right? They didn't want you to
yeah.
see any of this, right? And praising mainstream media for not showing it out of respect for this girl's family. Like she gives a shit about that girl's family. She gives
Well,
so much, she gives such a shit that they have a shitload of these people walking the streets that have no business being on the streets to victimize those same people and their families.
here's
This
what she
woman is a
says, Matt.
disaster.
Here's what she says. This is a tragic situation that sheds light on problems with society's safety nets related to mental health care and the systems that should be in place. She went on to claim that Brown appears to have suffered a crisis during the attack while explaining we will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health. The mayor continued, noting Brown, an apparent homeless individual, needs to be treated with the same compassion, diligence, and commitment as cancer and heart disease.
Yeah, he's
Now,
the victim. He's the victim in this. Treat him with compassion. This guy
now,
deserves zero compassion,
now,
right?
here's this guy here, Matt. And here's his history.
Well, yeah. Look at all of this shit here.
Yeah,
She said there should be systems in place. Yeah, it's called the judicial system. He should
yeah,
be in
there
fucking jail.
was. Between 2007, 2009, three misdemeanors, including simple assault, disorderly conduct, and resisting a public officer, all dismissed. 2011 and 2013, misdemeanors in which he failed to show up in court. Speeding 22 miles per hour over the speed limit, shoplifting, larceny, breaking and entering, 2014, 2021, assault, robbery. Then he served 5 years in prison. So he just got out of prison, comes out 2022, 2024, arrests, but no court record, arresting 3 times. None of those arrests appear to have led to charges or cases were dismissed.
Yeah,
In
that way
22,
they can manipulate their crime statistics. There you
yeah,
go.
a la DC. Brown was arrested for assault on a female and property injury, but court records do not reflect a corresponding charge. Indicate arrest for repeatedly dialing 911 without an emergency. 2025, another misdemeanor charge for 911. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, all this is going on. It's like, okay, you want to say it's a mental health issue, then why is he on the street? He's got a history going back, damn near 20 years, 15 years.
See assault on a woman and no corresponding charge. You know exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing. And then they're going to say crime is down, right? To a la DC, like Stu said. This is what they're doing in these liberal shitholes across the country. This
I
is
wanted to see if I
intentional
could find
destruction.
something to see what his age, because he started in 2007. So I was just curious how old this guy was to see
I
when
don't
he
think he's
started.
that old. I don't think
He
he's that
doesn't
old.
look that old, but
No.
anyway, and we see this and we're frustrated what's going on, but you get CNN and some of these other people, they're more upset that you're talking about it and you're
Yeah.
making a point of it. That's what they're upset about. They're not
It
upset
doesn't.
about the lady that died and was bleeding out on the train. They're upset that you're talking about it and
Yeah.
raising points about it.
It doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit
Yeah.
and it makes their propaganda job that much harder. That's why.
Yeah. They're saying Trump-aligned influencers are posting up a storm about this case. And I love how they were like, most murders in the U.S. never become national news unless they fit the left's narrative. That's the part that's left out. If it fits their narrative, by God, it's going to be national news, and you're going to know about it. You're going to talk about it. And by God, if you're on the wrong side of it, meaning not on their side of it, you're going to be canceled.
Reverse the races. Reverse the races. And then let me tell you, there'd be riots. The press would be stirring up riots in the street, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. There wouldn't be any concerns of mental health funding and treating him with compassion. That wouldn't be on anybody's radar.
No.
But this is exactly what's going on right here. Is, you know, this story is just it makes a point completely and succinctly. Is you have these people that have been in the system for decades. Oh, Freedom's saying this guy's 34 years old.
34.
So if he's 34, so in 2007, so if he's 34 in 2007, that would have been,
He would have been 16.
Yeah. So pretty much these are crimes from when he was no longer a minor. So my curiosity is, what else is there from the time that he was a minor? Because you don't just start out at 18 and decide I'm gonna do criminal.
Yeah.
So this guy has had a decades-long interaction with the judicial system, and he has been allowed to, time and time again, because of the DA and prosecutors not pressing charges, not prosecuting the cases, been allowed to basically, except for one stint for prison for actually assaulting and stealing something using a handgun. And that's why he served 5 years. So again, this is a guy that was already a felon, assaulted someone, robbed them, and used a handgun. And this is after 7 years of criminal history. He gets 5 years.
After several years, dude, he had like 20 years criminal history at that stage.
Yeah. So it's just it's disturbing, or it's not disturbing. It's insulting whenever they come up when this happens. And it's like, oh, well, he just slipped through the cracks. No, he didn't slip through the cracks. You opened the fucking door and let him out. This was no accident. This wasn't done by mistake.
Needs to be treated with compassion. Needs to be treated with compassion, as this guy has made a history off of abusing other people and violating, assaulting other people. Yeah, treat him with compassion, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Dude deserves zero compassion. He deserves zero sympathy, right? You know where sympathy lies in the dictionary, right?
Between shit and syphilis, right?
There you go. Exactly. That's what. So yeah, complete piece of shit. It highlights how bad these cities and their governments are, right? It shows what liberalism does to these cities. It destroys them. It destroys beautiful. Charlotte has a reputation of being a beautiful city, and now you can see what Charlotte has turned into through liberal politics.
The best term I've heard for this, Matt, is toxic empathy.
Yeah.
And we're going to feel so bad for all these people that, you know, we're basically going to set ourselves on fire to keep them warm. and it's destroying.
And they don't feel bad. What all this guy does is it takes away from their narrative. So they've got to respond with sympathy and
Yeah,
empathy and caring and this and that, because this is a distraction from their propaganda hit piece on the destruction of this country. So
but
what really, there was a system in place. It's called the judicial system, like I said before. This individual should have never been out on the streets. And then you saw, after he'd already been in jail, they weren't charging him. Assault
yeah,
against a woman, no charges.
yeah.
Then they can say crime is down. Crime is down in our city. Yeah, because you're not charging them. You're not
Or
charging out
you're
crime.
charging them with other things that don't get reported up to
Yeah.
the agencies that track this. But one of the points I made before is the lack of follow through by the prosecutors and this directly contributed to this woman dying. And like we said before, if the mechanisms that were in place had been utilized properly, this woman would still be alive. And the same thing goes with whenever we have these illegals that come into the country, commit crimes, and kill our citizens. If the law were enforced, it would never happen. They wouldn't be here to commit the crime. And we got this one here that I had come across. Illegal Guatemalan released on a DWI charge goes on to murder this Maryland woman. I mean, 19 years old, barely not a minor herself. But where the media is all up in arms about the Maryland father, right?
Yeah.
Maryland father, Maryland dad. What about this lady? Where are they at? Pounding the podium for her.
The Maryland father is now going to be an African father.
Good.
He's being shipped to Africa. He can't
He's
be
going to
shipped back to
Uganda,
his own
right?
country. Yeah, he tried to work the system, and now it's working. Yeah.
But this right, this guy, I thought I highlighted it. All right, he was arrested by U.S. Park Police for a DWI in April, and then was released after an appearance in district court. And then he goes on.
So illegals get arrested and then released, knowing they're illegal.
Yeah.
They get arrested for a crime and then released back into our country. That's how screwed up
this
whole
again,
system is.
This was arrested by U.S. Park Police. This is federal.
Yeah. Was it April of this year?
That's what I was trying to find. I assume so.
Because how would he have been released as an illegal this year?
Well, it was
under the Trump administration.
Yeah. Well, again, who knows what judges they still have in positions.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was in April, and it looks like in September 4th was when he was charged with first-degree murder. So within 6 months of, and again, if he had been arrested for this, had his day in court, and deported, this lady would still be alive. And these are not the people we want coming into our country. We have enough homegrown deviancy to deal with. We don't need to import it from around the world.
They all need to go, dude. They all need to go. I'm sick of hearing the sob stories and everything else. The illegals need to be out of our country, and no illegal should ever receive any type of assistance for anything. That's our taxpayer dollars paying for people to come here and break into our country illegally and pull this shit.
Well, that's what kills me. People talk about, there's no way. There's no way. Sure there is. You cut off benefits. You tighten down and make employers responsible for who they employ. And the problem solves itself. If there's no
We're
money
gonna
here,
we're gonna destroy we're gonna destroy our medical safety net for illegal aliens. That's what we're doing. We're gonna destroy Social Security for illegal
yeah,
aliens, right? Yeah,
yep.
yeah. People, when people realize that there are real effects to all of this, Stu and I probably aren't going to get Social Security. Anybody our age is probably not going to get it,
I've never
right?
planned on it. Whenever I
You
get
paid
that
into
thing
it. You paid into it your whole life, and
yeah.
they're gonna waste your money on people who shouldn't even fucking be here.
When I get that mailer every couple of years about, your Social Security, this is how much you'll be drawing if you started at this age or at that age. I don't even figure that in.
Mhm.
If it comes up, great, but I don't plan on using that for necessities.
Yeah, I hear you, dude.
You can't. If you do, you're naive at best and foolish at worst.
And that's a lifelong savings plan that you've paid into your whole freaking life.
Yeah.
What a
And just
gift.
think, if you'd been able to take that money and put it in the stock market, what the
Mhm.
return would be
Well,
after
they
working
tried
for
doing that.
50 years.
They tried privatizing Social Security so you could do that, right?
Yep.
And oh my, you couldn't do that. Oh
Well,
no, it would be
because
a disaster.
there isn't money there. They just that oh, it's taken for that. They spend it on whatever. It doesn't
Yeah,
go to an account with your name on it, locked by your Social Security number and thumbprint. It
yeah,
just goes into the general fund and they spend it on whatever. There
yeah.
is no Social
They,
Security
they're
account.
spending it on illegals.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Yep.
I guarantee you they are. This is nuts, man. This whole thing is nuts. Free tuition in a bunch of different states for illegals. Dude, what a slap in the face of every American. And then you have these little shits that have the audacity to think that the taxpayer should bail out their college degree
Yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
they, on their
Absolutely.
own free will, chose to go and get. You know?
Yep. And the thing is that none of them have ever had to do for themselves, so they don't understand how interest works. They don't
Mm-mm.
understand that just because they defer the loan for 5 years or 10 years or whatever, well, guess what? The interest is still ticking on that loan. And
Mhm.
just like a credit card, if you're making the minimum payment, that interest is still ticking.
Oh, yeah.
You're making an $800 a month payment. $200 of it's going toward the principal. The other 600 is going towards interest. So
Mhm.
that's just the way it works, but they're so financially illiterate and unconcerned because it's not a problem for them at the moment. Then they wonder why I've been paying on my student loans for 20 years and I owe more than what I borrowed. Well, they neglect to mention that they deferred those loans for 15 years and then they've only made minimum payments for the 5 years they've been paying.
Exactly.
I hate
Hey,
people.
hey, Stu, do we have any comments we need to get to? Because it's after 9 and my phone
Yeah,
is,
yeah, we do.
I think, on its last legs here.
Yeah, Troy was saying that, mentally ill judges keep letting that shit continue, talking about the
Hmm.
guy being released.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
The,
Freedom
the
came up
judici-
with that he was 34 years old and that the GoFundMe was shut down and closed.
the judiciary in this country is obviously has been shown to the majority of us how corrupt it actually is.
Oh
It's
yeah,
absolutely corrupt. And this game that they're doing with Trump is they know that they're going to get shot down, like the alligator Alcatraz deal. They know they're going to get, all they're trying to do is create roadblocks and
that's it.
slow it down until the midterms.
And that's
That's
all they're
what their
trying to
plan
do.
is.
They're
Yep.
just they're trying to gum up the works in any way, shape, or form that they can.
And
Like you said,
that should be a crime because you're misusing our judicial system.
yeah,
And these judges need to go. But we don't have legitimate senators, Republican senators right now that will solve this problem. They're too busy working with the Democrats to keep Trump's judicial nominees out of office. So
yeah. We've got JG. He said for an illegal, the only due process is deportation, and
that's exactly right.
that's true. I mean, that's that is the process. You're not here legally. Bye. I mean, I don't understand why it has to be complicated, other than that's the process to, again, slow roll things, gum it up, keep them here as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And JG saying liberals use emotional stories to tug on your heartstrings. That's just their sophistry type of deception. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
it,
it is. Oh, it's your
and that's what it
family.
is. It's deception because they don't give a shit. They want you to think they give a shit. They want to
Well,
pull you over to their
I love
side.
when Tom Homan was there in front of Congress, and one of these smart asses was like, "So you're for separating families?" And he's like, "If
No,
you commit a crime, you go to jail. That separates you from your family. Criminals get separated from their families all the time. We don't
and
send the
that
families to jail with the criminal."
and then he said, no, the family can stay with them when they go back. And
Hmm.
that's the other. You don't have to separate them. They can go back
Yeah,
together.
they can go back.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Freedom said, "Yeah, the liberal arts degree didn't teach real life financials," and that's the
No,
absolute truth.
no, hell no. Yeah.
You know, I've got a son, my youngest. He'll be graduating here in a couple of years, and he and I have talked, about what he wants to do, if he wants to go to school, whatever. And he's brought up, one of these careers that he's interested in, and I sat down and had the return on investment conversation with him. I said, well, you need to look at what level of degree is, one, how many of these jobs are there and how do they pay? What level of education do you need to qualify for some of these jobs? And does that make sense? Is it worth it? Do you need a master's degree to make, 40 grand a year at whatever it is? That doesn't make sense. To go to school for 6 years and spend, $250,000, $300,000 in education for a $40,000 a year job.
No.
So he and I've had those conversations, but some of these people just, it's like it's free money for them, because they think it is.
They've been convinced that you go to college and you're going to do well because you're now smart because you went to college. They're convinced of this. And if you
Well, and
listen to these
two,
little shits talk, it's like they think because they've gone to some 4-year bullshit school that they're smart or that they're somehow more intelligent than the rest of the population. And it's like, where did you start to get sucked into this load of bullshit? You go and take some gender studies degree and you graduate with debt. You can do nothing with that degree. And I'm just using gender studies as an
yeah,
example.
underwater basket weaving,
Yeah,
lesbian dance theory, whatever.
bullshit degrees. And it comes, so you want to learn something that's a hard science. You want to become a doctor. You want to become a lawyer, any of these things. Yeah, you got to go to school for that. But that's a very specific type deal. Okay. We need more people that say, hey, I want to learn a frickin' trade and actually make something. You'll make way more money and you won't ever incur this debt. And I think we sort of have looked down on that over the last 50 years. And we've convinced, and it's been on purpose because we're
Yeah.
feeding these indoctrination centers, which are these schools, right? We're feeding them. We're not making our society more capable. We're making our society less capable. Okay. And just too many people go to fucking college when it doesn't do a damn thing for you.
Well, it's
So,
funny because, and I don't know how it is now because I'm dating myself, but I remember looking at job requirements. I'm in more of a technical career field, but I remember looking at job requirements like, oh, we need a bachelor's degree or 16 years experience, and I'm like, those two aren't equivalent whatsoever.
no,
You've got someone
no.
that's been doing the job and obviously doing it well if they've been employed in that field for a decade and a half, or you've got somebody that has sat in a class in your first 2 years. You might have two classes associated with your major,
Mm-hmm.
and then your last 2 years you have more of that, but you still have other random nonsense thrown in there. So you might have a year, maybe a year and a half worth of classes really, really focused on your major, but you've never done it. But those are equivalent. It always blew my mind with that, and it's just
Well, you chose no
it's
class. Stu's got no class.
I don't. I don't. I
Why don't
never claimed
you-
otherwise.
Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
All right. Well, I think that's everything. Guys, we're a little bit over, but that happens on occasion whenever we're rolling with it.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us again. Thank you for taking part in the conversation, and thank you for being American patriots, number one, first and foremost. We will be back here next Tuesday, same time, with a new show, and I just want to thank you for listening to our little explanation of the foundation and all that at the beginning. And like I said, I 100% meant it when I said throw some ideas out, suggestions. We listen to you guys, right? So I look forward to your input. I look forward to talking again next week, and live in freedom every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out, Troy, to Matt via email. Sure you guys can put something together. Hell, you can probably meet up for breakfast.
Yeah, I got to head down to
Yeah.
Wausau as soon as I get my truck back, because I have my truck sprayed by a company that's in Wausau, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are so close. Get together and put something together and have some fun. But we appreciate every one of you. Appreciate all the conversation, the support, the back and forth. We love it. And like Matt said, we will see you guys next Tuesday. We'll be here same time, same channel.
Live in freedom every day.